There are all kinds of unforgettable friendships in the world, but some of the best happen to be between humans and animals. No kidding. Who said different species can't get along? Heck, even predators and children can. We're all creatures of this world, and it's all about the emotions. And we witnessed plenty of heart-wrenching moments in the stories we came across, showing us how love really knows no bounds. Today, we'll show you the 10 weirdest friendships between animals and humans. Number 10. The penguin who travels thousands of miles. João Pereira de Souza, a 71-year-old retired widower, found a Magellanic penguin from Patagonia washed up on a beach near his home in Brazil in March 2011. It was covered in oil and fighting for its life. De Souza cleaned the bird, fed it, and nursed it back to health before trying to release it, but the penguin wouldn't leave his side. Meet Jing Jing. The bird does head out to sea for days, sometimes months, but always returns. We never saw a critter get so attached. You can let him go wherever you want, but he'll come right back. The duo spends about 8 months out of the year together, strolling on the beach and swimming. Mostly, Jing Jing just follows De Souza wherever he goes, and is now considered the village mascot. Number 9. The Crow and Little Girl. One 8-year-old has been receiving trinkets from an unusual source: the birds in her garden. Seattle, Washington resident Gabby Mann feeds the crows that visit her home, and in exchange, they bring her gifts. She's built up a collection of more than 100 beads, buttons, pieces of metal, and plastic and foam trinkets, all left for her by her corvid companions. Her strange relationship with the birds began in 2011, when, as a 4-year-old, she would accidentally drop food. Crows began loitering around the house, hoping to pick up the scraps she left behind. When she started going to school, Gabby began feeding them her lunch. The birds then lined up to wait for her to get off the bus at the end of the school day. Gabby keeps all of her gifts from the crows in carefully labeled pots. Number 8. The Lion and Two Men. In 1969, Joe Rendell and Ace Berg purchased a 35-pound lion cub from Harrods department store. The friends raised Christian in their London home, but within a year, he had grown too big to keep. Rendell and Berg knew they couldn't keep him much longer, but didn't quite know what to do with him. Enter conservationist George Adamson. With his help, Christian was relocated to Africa, where he was rehabilitated and released into the wild. After a few years had passed, Rendell and Berg decided to visit Christian. They were told their odds of finding him were slim, and the chances of him recognizing them were even slimmer. Shortly after they arrived, however, Christian appeared outside Adamson's camp. Watching their incredible reunion is amazing to witness. Number 7. The Gorilla as a Son. In 2014, English conservationist Damien Aspinall was filmed reuniting with a gorilla he helped raise. His organization, the Aspinall Foundation, is dedicated to breeding and returning gorillas and other animals back to the wild. He wanted to see how Quibi was doing, one of the gorillas he released 5 years prior. Quibi was born in a zoo in England, but was eventually released in a jungle preserve in Gabon. Since then, he's begun to raise his own family. At first, Aspinall wasn't sure if the gorilla would even remember him, but he most certainly did. Number 6. A rescue dog. A shelter dog is being remembered for the massive impact that he made on one man's dwindling health. 5 years ago, Eric O'Gray weighed 340 pounds, had both high blood pressure and cholesterol, and type 2 diabetes, all conditions that required medication that totaled over $1,000 a month. A nutritionist suggested him to adopt a dog. Eric took a trip to the Humane Society in Silicon Valley and told staff that he'd like an obese, middle-aged dog so they'd have something in common with him. That day, he went home with Petey, a dog that eventually improved his health, his ability to socialize, and his overall well-being. They formed an inseparable bond, and one that he had never really experienced with another person, animal, or anybody. With Petey's help, O'Gray lost nearly 140 pounds. Petey also lost about 25 pounds. His overall demeanor had changed drastically, and he became much more confident. Petey challenged O'Gray beyond belief. That pushed O'Grey to complete his first marathon in the summer of 2015. Shortly after that, Petey was diagnosed with cancer and passed away. O'Grey has since rescued another dog, but credits Petey for saving his life. He wakes up every day wanting to be the best person that he can be. Petey completely transformed him. He thinks about it now. Who rescued whom? Number 5. The Little Girl and the Duck. A lot of kids go to the park to see ducks, but 5-year-old Kylie Brown does things in reverse. She takes her duck, Snowflake, to see the park. The duck swims around the pond, and then he returns when called. Snowflake sincerely believes that Kylie is his mother, and the duck is not alone in this delusion. For whatever reason, the duck imprinted on Kylie and just has to be by her side. He goes to the beach with her in the summer and sledding in the winter. He's been to soccer practice, gone on sleepovers, and he's even been trick-or-treating. Kylie believes that she is his mother. When she was reminded that she's not really the duck's mom, she disagrees and says, "I'm his mom." Number 4. Therapy Cat. When Arabella Carter Johnson bought a therapy cat named Thula home from a local breeder, the fluffy kitten slept in 6-year-old Iris Grace Holmshaw's arms the first night. Iris, who is autistic, seemed to relax around Thula, stroking her ears and whiskers, and the cat didn't even mind when Iris held her tail. Thula seemed to know what Iris needed, adapting her behavior and becoming the perfect companion. If Iris became impatient in the car, Thula would sit on her lap to calm her down. If she had difficulty during the day or woke up at night, Thula would distract her until she settled again. Before Thula came into their lives, Carter Johnson and her husband, Peter John Holmshaw, went through a dark time trying to figure out the best ways to draw Iris out after her diagnosis. Iris's form of autism was marked by irregular sleep patterns, obsessive behavior, refusing to make eye contact, avoiding playing with her parents or other children, and feeling disinterested around people she didn't know. Not long after Thula's arrival, Iris began to speak to her. She would say, "Sit, cat," and Thula would obey. Iris would follow Thula around the house, saying, "More cat." There was no pressure or judgment from Thula, unlike how Iris might feel if she was talking to another child or adult, so Iris would talk to Thula and give her instructions. In addition to helping with Iris's speech therapy, Thula also studied Iris's movements as she played or painted, mimicking them and in turn, encouraging Iris to continue. Her parents saying it's calming to know that she is her little buddy and someone other than just them. Number 3. The Woman and the Alligator. A potty-trained alligator named Rambo, who understands sign language and can ride a quad bike, is being removed from his owner because it's 6 feet long. He's now too big to stay at her home. Mary Thorne adopted Rambo 11 years ago. However, in March 2016, she was told by Florida Fish and Wildlife that in order to keep the 15-year-old reptile, she has to move to a property with at least 2.5 acres of open space or relinquish him to a sanctuary. Horn said Rambo watches TV on top of her dogs and is so gentle that kids love him. And babies have their picture taken with him and believe if he's treated like a normal gator elsewhere, he'll be dead in weeks. And with that, it's now time for today's subscriber pick. Today's photo was sent to us by one of our subscribers, so if you come across a photo online and want to know more details about it, just send it on over to us. We might even feature it on a future video. Number 2. Pancho the Crocodile. Nearly 20 years ago, a 5-meter-long crocodile lay severely injured on the bank of the Parismina River in Costa Rica after being shot by a farmer. Luckily for that crocodile, a kind local named Cheeto wouldn't bear to let him die. Cheeto rescued Pancho, as he called the croc, and nursed him back to health. When Pancho the crocodile had regained his strength, Cheeto took him back along the river to release him. But Pancho didn't want to be left behind and followed Cheeto home. With permission from the Minister for Environment and the help of a vet, Cheeto looked after Pancho for nearly 2 decades. As their bond strengthened over the years, Cheeto and Pancho grew to trust each other so completely that they spent hours each day swimming and playing together. Remarkably, Pancho the crocodile was gentle and patient with his human companion and would even respond to his name when called. Thousands of tourists, scientists, and animal behavior experts came to see Cheeto and Pancho having fun. Number 1. The boy whose best friend is a python. A Cambodian boy, Uorn Sambath, has an unlikely best friend, a python named Chomryun. Chomryun is 16 feet long and weighs over 220 pounds. The snake slithered into the lives of the Sambath family when Uorn was only 3 months old. They're not at all worried about his attachment to the reptile and believe Chomryun brings good luck. However, the python eats a whopping 22 pounds of chicken per week, which has put quite a financial strain on the family. They've since relinquished him to rescue as a result, but Uorn still visits his friend regularly. That's all for today, folks. Ever since humans have learned to domesticate animals during the Stone Age, we've kept them as loyal companions and helpers. Strong human and animal bonds have a mutually beneficial and dynamic relationship between the people and the animals, improving the health and the well-being of both. These were the 10 most awesome human and animal friendships. Comment below if you liked the video, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more amazing videos. And as always, thanks for watching.